welcome everybody to our second technical session. A welcome to our chairperson, co-chairperson and speaker. Now, for a floral welcome, I request Dr. Gulab to offer floral welcome to Dr. Mahesh Pandit, chairperson of today's session, with a huge round of applause. I request Dr. Gulab to offer floral welcome to our co-chairperson, Dr. Pawan Wadhavan. I request Dr. Gulab to welcome Dr. P. Sharanyan with a floral bouquet. With a huge round of applause. Thank you, sir, for introducing our guest. Now, our today's chairperson, Dr. Mahesh Pandit, sir, he's a very, very special person, our beloved former Chief Medical Officer at Sant Hirdaram Wellness Center, Aryo Kendra, and HOD at Natural Therapeutics, Sant Hirdaram Medical College. Thank you, sir. He's a great motivator, mentor, teacher, and guide. Presently, Dr. Pandit is principal at Care Yoga Naturopathy Medical College, CMO at Care Yoga Naturopathy Hospital, Andhra Pradesh. He has also worked with Alvas College as a Dean of Postgraduate Studies in Clinical Naturopathy and as a CMO and clinical heads at various other prestigious institutions. He has conducted various nature cure awareness camps at different district centers. He is a principal assessor for NAB in naturopathy specialty and has been a resource person, chairperson, organizing secretary at various national and international conferences on naturopathy on yoga. I welcome you, sir. Our today's co-chairperson, Dr. Pawan Wadhavan, a known face, he is founder of Smile Tri-Origin Food Consciousness and expert educationist of Tai Chi, Sujok Acupuncture, and Alexander Technique for posture correction. I welcome you, sir. Our speaker for today, first speaker, Dr. P. Sharanyan, Medical Superintendent, RK Nature Cure Home, India, Vice President, Ayush Medical Practitioner Association, India. I welcome you, sir. He'll be speaking on vital components in clinical practice of holistic healing methods. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Mahesh Pandit, sir, to please take the further proceedings.
I invite sir to start the session.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Reverend Sidbhavji, the management of SDM Medical College, Sant Hirdaram Medical College of Naturopathy Yogic Sciences, Arogya Kendra, the entire organizing committee of this international conference, my humble and warm greetings to all of you, and warm greetings to all those who are very eagerly waiting from morning, enthusiastically participating in a lot of interactions relevant to health. Now this international conference is something like kind of very significant and relevant in terms of today's medical practice, or rather we can even tell in today's health reform, because we are talking about holistic wellness through naturopathy and yoga. It's not something like we are not telling about only naturopathy and yoga. We are trying to address holistic wellness through naturopathy and yoga. So before we try to address that, let us understand what does this holistic as well as wellness mean, and how is it relevant in terms of naturopathy and yoga, because I am more to talk about some kind of very essential but very, very simple things in clinical practice when it comes to applying or introducing or approaching naturopathy and yoga with a holistic background, giving a lot of importance to wellness. So now, when we talk about this, what does the concept of holism mean? Because this is very important, because this and naturopathy have a very, very, very close connection. Because if these two are not understood well, we cannot connect and we cannot relate with the patient to understand what to treat, how to treat, and why to treat. If there is at all there is a need to treat or there is no need to treat. So that is something very important. So concept of holism means, like we go to the genesis of what is holism, like it has come from the Greek word. It actually means like it is nothing but dealing in entirety or totality of all the idea of natural systems, whether it is physiological, biological, chemical, social, economic, mental, linguistic, all these features put together, and trying to understand and respecting the interaction between all these things and seeing everything as a whole. So that is what we try to mean in terms of holism. So keeping this concept of holism, when you try to understand the body, it's like so many components are present in the body, but then if we try to do like with absolutely no offense and with lot of respect for modern medicine, even we study physiology in different systems like hematology, gastroenterology, respiratory system, cardiovascular system, blood and circulation, central nervous system. That is for understanding. But then when you try to approach the patient, understanding the patient, all these things have to be put together in total relevance to understand what is exactly going wrong, and only then we are able to reach from where we need to help the person rather than we can treat the person. So that is about what holism means. Now next comes to what is the concept of wellness. Now, why is this concept of wellness becoming so important, so prevalent, and everybody is opting to look in for wellness, wellness centers, wellness resorts, wellness retreats, wellness camps, everything is getting related to wellness. But then what exactly is wellness? Because before wellness, there was always like, what is called as drive-in theaters, fast food restaurants and all those things. Now wellness is taking a lot of importance, and people are trying to look into different dimensions of wellness. But then if we try to actually understand what exactly is wellness, it is nothing but trying to look ourselves in a very comfortable position to adapt and be happy in the environment where we are moving. So that is actually wellness. So that means being comfortable with you, being comfortable with your partner, being comfortable with the family, being comfortable in the workplace, being comfortable in the society. Something like trying to achieve something which is very optimal, but very, very essential to actually sense and enjoy what is called as health. Otherwise, we go to the gym every day morning, 45 minutes of workout, 4 kilometers of walking, I'll do pranayama, everything. And then finally you enter the house, you move and you look at your wife's face, then your blood pressure goes up, your sugar goes up. That is not wellness, because you have done so much of hard work to tone, train, strengthen your body, and then finally the most important faculty, mind, just jumps and goes for a toss moment by seeing a person. So that is not enjoying health, because the quotient of wellness is somewhere missing. So how do we help the person to reach a threshold as well as optimize? We cannot make everybody Swami Vivekananda. At the same time, we cannot make everybody or visualize everybody as Adolf Hitler. Everybody has come with a genetic packed material with a particular purpose, so they will have to deliver. But then in terms of delivering, it's just like waiting in an airport queue. Your turn comes, then you have to deliver. It's not like you push somebody and then go into the queue to try to tell that I just have to board, because everybody is there to board. That's something like, it is very relevant trying to find out the person's comfort level in all the dimensions of what they are dealing in day-to-day life. That is actually wellness. So holism is trying to see the person as a whole, which includes all the dimensions. And wellness is how comfortable is this person in the environment. Now, these two things, if they are not understood in detail, or if they are not respected, or the relevance is not correlated, then treating them through naturopathy and yoga becomes extremely difficult. So that is why naturopathy and yoga becomes very, very relevant when it comes to holistic and wellness medical approach. Now, what exactly is holistic health and wellness? Holistic health and wellness is something like how good you lived. That is actually holistic health and wellness. It is not like how well you treated yourself. It is not about treating disease. Because if you take 60 people here, we try to make a list of what are the health problems, we may get 1,300 health problems out of 60 people. But that is not what comes first when you're trying to understand holistic health and wellness. What comes first is this 60 people, how they can be helped to live happier and healthy despite the 1,300 list of problems, and then gradually helping them to understand and bringing the list down like a countdown: 1,300, 1,800, 500, 200, 100 to the maximum best capacity. Because whatever is good, pranayama is good, asanas is good, skipping is good, running is good, jogging is good, cycling is good, even doing tai chi is good, yoga is good. All these things are good, absolutely no doubt. But are we genetically equipped, capable in our day-to-day socio-economic condition to do all these good? So we'll have to just find out. It's just like buying an Android phone and trying to find out the right plugins for that so that it works effectively. We cannot have, Android is very good, yes. Apple, that is also very good, yes. Tablet, that is also very good, yes. What you will attend to? All these things are good, but we cannot attend to anything. It's something like we have to optimize what is best for us. So that is where choosing what is best for us in terms of helping and assisting our daily life, that is holistic health and wellness. So now, if we have to deliver on holistic health and wellness while practicing naturopathy and yoga, or through advocating a lifestyle which is more inclined towards naturopathy and yoga, there are some things which are very, very important in terms of daily clinical practice. Now, when I'm talking about clinical practice, that doesn't conveniently put everybody off that it is for doctors. It's not for doctors. It is for doctors. At the same time, it is for people who want to get the best out of doctors also. Because most of the time, when you go to a doctor, you don't know how to present your problem. We will be talking for 40 minutes, which are something which is irrelevant. And then finally, when you're getting up, you will tell, yes, I forgot to tell you, like 3 years back, I had a hemorrhoids problem. And that would have been very relevant for the initial part of the conversation. So later or sooner, information keeps coming in. So this becomes like a kind of a guide where you know what you can think and introspect on yourself even before approaching for a health guidance. Now, the vitals which are required in terms of a clinical practice, if we want to address holistic health and wellness through naturopathy and yoga, they are very simple things. Sometimes we may laugh, we may even conveniently think, ye kya bol rahe hain? But then this is very relevant because we do it every day in our daily life. Some things are very simple, like what, I had an opportunity to be here. I had learned one thing and I am learning it every day in different forms, that truth is simple. So that is what Sidh Babaji always says, truth is simple. And naturopathy is kind of a true method of approaching the problem. So all the approaches are simple, but they have a very, very deeper meaning to that and relevance. So let us try to see one by one. The first part is you try to reframe the manner in which the person handles anxiety. Now, can we identify any person who never becomes anxious or who can be completely free of anxiety? Anxiety is something which we cannot avoid. The next level, it becomes stress. That is also unavoidable. Stress needs to be managed. You cannot avoid. You cannot run away from stress. But then, even before getting stressed, there is something which is called as anxiety, which builds in everybody. A mother who waits for the child to come back home, anxiety. The person who is working in the job, 12 o'clock, time target, anxiety. A 1-year-old kid, anxious, what new, along with curiosity. School-going child, anxiety, homework, my favorite cartoon, father will allow or he will not allow, I have to go to play with my friends, again anxiety. It's basically, it is something which is essential, but then what happens is, many a times, it becomes like playing the same song in a real player in a loop. So it just goes on repeating more than necessary. So that is where it starts compromising the health. So we need to understand and address the manner in which people understand anxiety, because 90% of the time you do not realize you are anxious. Very simple example, in a simple conversation between 4 people, something which debatable comes, automatically your volume goes up, your perspiration increases, and then your heartbeat goes up. But then it is nothing, just to prove our point. The same thing can be done more composed way, but then that comes only by conditioning. When it happens repeatedly, you are not conscious about what is happening, but then that becomes evident with day-to-day practice. So anxiety is something which is connected to a lot of problems, which starts from the most simple thing of acidity to the most complicated thing, that is what you call as depression, along with sleep deprivation. You are not able to get into a natural sleep rhythm because this anxiety thing keeps on running in the loop. So that is most important component which needs to be addressed very seriously. Second thing is trying to start with small and steady lifestyle changes. Something like, if somebody comes to me like, I have diabetes, I have hypertension, I have acidity, I have knee problem. Yes, everything we listen. Then we ask them, what do you do? What is the nature of job? How much time do you take rest? What exercise you do? How well you sweat? How much water you take? What are the things you eat? And how regularly are you in eating? Do you eat by time? A lot of interaction needs to be done. That itself takes 30 to 40 minutes to understand where things are going wrong. Unless we understand that, we can never advise what needs to be corrected in their daily routine. Without correcting that, we just go on prescribing treatment, and then he keeps on doing that. It is something like, you are daily going, watering the plant, and then somebody walks by, he stamps on the plant and goes. Next day again, you will go, you will give a support to the plant, put water, again it is being stamped. So the effectiveness of therapy actually does not take place unless and until an essential change is made in the lifestyle by identifying what is going wrong. At the same time, you give them a list of 10 changes to be done at the same time, that itself will cause anxiety. It will worsen them than actually helping them. So trying to make it steady, easily reachable targets, like start with 2, guide them how it can be changed. And they're able to achieve it easily, their confidence level goes up, yes, I can change. So that is what happens in most of the nature cure hospitals, Before the patient comes, their relatives, friends, everybody, 3 days you eat whatever you like, you eat biryani, you eat that, you eat this, they will not give you anything, they will give you only water. That's a kind of a hysteria which is created. But then, despite that, when the person comes inside for a therapy, he understands first day, second day, a lot of caffeine and tannin withdrawal, regular consumption of coffee and tea, intense headache, not able to sleep, a lot of crisis happening. Third day, when this settles, when he is calm with his body and mind, then as he progresses towards the 7th day, there is a very subtle but deep and strong transformation happening in the person. He develops the confidence that this much food is enough for me to conduct myself with full energy from morning to evening, even with better stamina. So unless they experience the change, just by counseling, it will not work. So whatever lifestyle changes to be advocated has to happen in phases. Smaller, steady changes, and which has to retain, they have to enjoy the benefit of the change. That gives them the confidence to go to the next level. So that is something which is very important. Third thing, which is the most abused part of everybody's lifestyle, like, trying to understand and introspect on the posture and consciously correcting it. The most difficult thing to do. The most difficult thing to do. Like, if I am a speaker, I may speak for 3 hours or 4 hours, I may be giving lecture in the classroom. Unconsciously, I may go and stand on the board with the hand. I will be talking. I may be putting my whole body weight only on one leg, like this. I may be speaking 40 minutes, 30 minutes. It may happen continuously over a period of time. Sitting posture. The back may not have proper support. Driving two-wheeler, four-wheeler travel. That is something like highly neglected. But then, if you are genetically vulnerable, and if your lifestyle is very sedentary, and you are vulnerable, as short as 4 months to as long as 3 years, you will start seeing the problem happening with your spine and knees. All the weight-bearing joints, the main fulcrum areas which take the center of gravity of your body weight and then help you to move forward, start yielding. That definitely starts with a problem. Most of us, we just try to do a very simple check, just try to tap your calf muscles and see how subtle it is. For most of it is very hard. We don't understand then why it has to be so hard. You just catch hold while examining and try to press a little bit on palpation, they wince with pain. But then when you appear, you are appearing very normal. That's not a healthy sign. Same thing happens, you're trying to treat the back pain, you try to examine the leg. There's a very common component called as iliotibial band, which comes on the side. You try to palpate, it is extremely tender. So unless we address that by correction, there is no point in giving short wave diathermy for the lower back or putting an oil compress or giving a therapeutic Swedish massage, because the problem lies somewhere else. So that has to happen by conscious correction, and then that has to be induced. Unless you educate, you demonstrate, and you show them the problem is here, you try to correct this. In 5 minutes, you can correct a back pain and show them and convince the patient that you change this posture, the pain is gone. It's very simple. It happens, and it is effective, it is very true. There is absolutely no exaggeration. So that is something which is very, very important. Now this is what we told, there are a lot of things we can list it under the category of exercise, but then you need to choose what suits you in terms of your body weight, your energy levels, your age, your time, and exercise. The most important thing is exercise being done physically is as good as not doing. Unless and until mentally you are involved in the exercise is of absolutely no use. So choose your exercise where you are actually able to involve and you literally enjoy. Something like, if you are getting into the exercise pattern, you should be able to totally cut off from your routine stress. Because exercise, if done properly, by choosing the right exercise, is the most effective de-stressing mechanism. So we'll have to choose the right exercise. So choosing it right is most important, but there are a lot of options. And many times we get tempted, but then when we try to attempt to do it, we end up injuring ourselves. So that is something very, very, very important. Now comes the most toughest thing. Dr. Roy spent a lot of time, I think for 3 days he will be spending, because it's very difficult. It's so easy for any physician to tell, change your diet. But the same physician, when he sees the plate, automatically salivation will start. But that is the most difficult thing, because it is not just the tummy. It's a huge, huge biochemical pathway which is running there. Your mind, your nose, your tongue, your ear, your creativity, your imagination, color. So many things are involved. So it needs a lot of effort, but a consistent effort that is needed to bring in this incremental changes in dietary habits. Why do I use the word incremental change in dietary habits? Now, in this entire population, if we honestly try to take an oath, a secret oath inside the mind, how many of us consume meat? There will be many people who will be confessing yourself inside. But the moment we tell blindly, from tomorrow, don't eat meat. So the adrenaline gets pumped. Yes, I was told in the stage not to eat meat. So that conviction is like a nuclear molecule graph, half-life period. So you go out of the auditorium, it is peak. You talk to 4 or 5 people, same kind of minded people, it still remains. Then slowly you go out, slowly it drops. then the half-life period graph actually dips. When it dips, you are already in the tandoori cafe. So this is what happens with most of the people. So drastic change cannot sustain. It has to happen very gradual manner. And that is where you need to be guided. You are guided properly, start dropping from where? How? How much? What happens? When you are guided properly, it starts working from your mind. It is not from your tongue or from your stomach. The mind starts getting cleansed. Then the urge for that kind of a food slowly comes down. This is the only mechanism where you can successfully correct this. Otherwise, you can do a lot of referral. There are 168 type of dietary patterns that have come. There are a lot of people available to tell you WhatsApp, YouTube, this diet, that diet, anything and everything. But for you, in your kitchen, you are the king. You walk into the house, you can demand what you want. So, unless from your brain, what is given as a verbal command from your tongue, which controls the taste, is changing, your health will not change. For that, you need to tame it. So it is something like trying to tame the untamable. Because this is the only part we usually tell, trying to tame the untamable, because there is a lot of variety available outside, a lot of curiosity. So that has to happen gradually. And gradually means it has to happen with a deadline. Gradually you cannot tell in 10 years I will change. No. You need to address the problem, severity and chronicity of the problem. You have to be guided with a deadline and then periodically reviewed and guided to come out of it. Once you enjoy the benefit, you don't need a doctor. You will automatically do it. Nobody needs to monitor you. You will automatically get into that because you are enjoying health. So unless you enjoy, we don't adapt, we don't change. So that's very important. Now, this is again a most challenging thing in today's world because we hardly have a 9-to-5 job. That is almost extinct. 9-to-5 job is extinct because you will carry some files home, midnight 3 o'clock you will be worrying about the job. One thing. Second thing, there are no jobs where is job security. Population is so high. Everybody is a competitor for you. Somebody is always waiting. When you will fall, I will take the position. So you are always in a rush. But then, the eternal truth is how much sincere you are, how good you are, how productive you are, how capable you are, how intelligent you are always replaceable. This, our people fail to agree and fail to understand. So what happens? We go on running for what? We don't know. Tomorrow you don't come, in a week's time somebody will replace you. That doesn't mean that don't be committed. You be committed. But try to adapt. When you see that you are going, there is a wall, you become adamant, your ego becomes so strong, no, I have to pass through this wall. It will never happen. You will waste your energy. You need to find collaterals. So that is where most of us get stuck. We get stuck with somewhere at some point, whether in a workplace or in the family or with children or in any situation or commit a business partners, we just get stuck. And the ego dominates so much that we are not capable of identifying the collateral pathways in front of our eyes. So adaptability fails, then the entire system collapses because then the ego dominates. Once ego dominates, your entire biological clock will work 3 times faster. So everything fails. So that is something which is very, very important because why I am using the word respecting, because unless you respect your enemy, you cannot win him. Only you respect your enemy, you will be able to see what are their strengths. You blindly go and hit with your ego, you can never overcome the problem. So same thing happens with adaptation. It's very important. Again, most difficult thing because of androids, as well as wonderful intertwined serial timings, morning, afternoon, night, again midnight. So getting into an effective sleep rhythm, the most simplest thing, but the most difficult thing our entire population is facing from the past 7 years. Past 7 years, when the Android version started changing, the temptation to go on using has increased, the sleep rhythm has gone for a toss. And this simply suppresses your natural melatonin. The body forgets how to sleep naturally. Either you become tired and exhausted in sleep, or you are just rolling. You are not sleeping effectively. So your body can never get into what is a state of enjoying health. So that is something which is very important. And then reducing the span of consuming food in a day. How many times do you have food a day? They will tell 2 times, 3 times. Then we ask them to put it in a diary. It will be like 8 times snacking, 2 meals, and then 3 mini meals, then some 8 beverages. So everything becomes food, whether it is mini meals, beverage, snack, everything is a meal because your system has to work for that. So that has to come down in a phased manner. Again, very, very important. And then most important thing, because this is where we have the problem with the younger generation, increasing amount of suicide. 25 years old, I want to retire. Why? I am depressed. For what? You have not seen life. No, I am depressed. Overworked, over-fatigued, because they don't understand the purpose of existence. Purpose of existence does not mean that go and sit in front of God, expect God to come out and help you. It's not going to happen. Unless you help yourself, things are not going to change. So that is where kind of a holistic living atmosphere is very important to understand what is the purpose. And now I would like to try to conclude by saying something which is very simple, but then I found it very powerful, more appealing to me. I thought I would share it with you. Sri Aurobindo has told, to realize the strength within you, try to bring it forward. Try to bring it forward and make use of it. Try to exercise that. Try to implement and practice it, so that everything you may do may not be your own doing, but the doing of the truth within you. Because 90%, the way we dress, the way we talk, the way we move, the way we behave is for somebody else, not for ourselves. If I do like this, they will think like this. If I do like this, they will offend. That kills you from inside. So that has to go. Otherwise, there is no holism, there is no wellness. You can never enjoy actual health. It will be hypocrisy. So finally, a request to all of you, like what I talked was something very simple, easily doable, but then like what I told before, it requires a lot of disciplining. Something like schooling your own mind. Unless you school your own mind, this becomes difficult. But once you are able to do this in a period of 3 to 4 months, you can actually embrace life and enjoy wellness. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Sharanian. Thank you for your mesmerizing talk. I invite the audience for question and answer session. Anyone would like to ask questions on this topic now?
Something like, we give a very typical example of a very health conscious person. So he is like, 42 years old, maintaining his weight 70 kgs, and then he gets up by 5:45 sharp in the morning, takes 1 liter of water, then does his normal natural calls and everything, then goes for a walk, comes back, he has some fruits, and in walks, when there are times where he meets his friends, then when he concludes, he will have tea. Then he will come back, he will again have fruits because he wants to be healthy. Then again he will have breakfast, then he will go to office, and he will tell no tea, no coffee, I will have green tea. But the number of times he has green tea is not accounted for. And lunch, he is very particular about having very good food, very conscious food, but timing of food is not in his control. So what happens, when the timing doesn't go under control, there are so many things which come inside in the form of snacks, which just creeps in. So at the end of the day, if you write a food diary, his meal, what he consumes, is very good in terms of quality, nutritive quality. But the timing is very bad, because it's something like, you went to the airport where your flight is gone. So some acid is produced, it is suppressed. Then you have put in food inside. So it's something like regularity of consumption of food, and same time planning at what intervals you will consume food. Remaining time, all that you need is fluid. It's not about solids. So you need to understand the span. Like you work for 8 hours or 12 hours a day, you know your routine. So you'll have to plan. This is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. Plus or minus 15, 20 minutes, yes, always. But then not grossly. You have breakfast 8 o'clock one day, another day 6:30, another day 11 o'clock, another day 10 o'clock. Then finally body is thoroughly confused whether I should wait for food or I should think food is not going to come, whether I should digest. But then what happens? It doesn't take interest in digesting food. It will something like it becomes a courier office. You have put food, put it in the storeroom. So the metabolism doesn't happen, it only stores. So what happens is, irrespective of having healthy food, you still develop problems of obesity and other comorbidities. So that is what I meant in terms of span, trying to understand the span of consuming, or trying to reduce it, trying to make it optimal.
Thank you, Dr. Sharanian. We can continue with the interaction session later. Those who can contact Dr. Sharanian, he'll be available for interaction. I think we'll end the session. I give my mic to Doctor.
So very nice explanation of holistic health and wellness, a crystal clear view of the concept. Thank you so much. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was very informative session on insight on vital components of holistic healing methods in our clinical practice. Now, it's time for felicitation. To felicitate Dr. P. Sharanian, sir, I would like to request Dr. Mahesh Pandit, sir, and Dr. Pawan Wadhwan, sir, to please honor and appreciate and felicitate our former principal, sir, Dr. P. Sharanian.